Yes, here we are, part two conversation with New Jersey former gambler, now a preventionist, James. And we're going to be talking about Super Bowl, NCAA, data selling. Welcome again to another episode of the 1% in Recovery podcast, where we encourage you to laugh every day. Work hard in recovery, work hard in your relationships, work hard in your business, job, school, just work. And to love unconditionally, put much more love out there and watch much more love return. As we always like to say, recovery is beautiful, your EQ is your IQ, and you cannot outthink an emotional issue. Keep encouraging people to go to the website, lifeiswonderful.love, LOVE. Download the free Recovery Growth Scorecard where you can begin your journey to start living better, differently, healthier, with natural dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, oxytocin. It's just a scorecard to get you going, start detoxing, start healing the brain. Because people don't realize you have to heal the brain. Let's welcome again, James. How are you feeling today?
I'm back. I'm ready to go. One full hour of me, huh? God bless you.
All right, let's jump in. This is Super Bowl weekend. You know, everyone gets so excited because everyone thinks it's the big game, the big party, the fiesta, the food, the alcohol, but always number one is we're going to talk about the game. And now it's just nonstop because the networks have 2 weeks to talk about not only the line, the total, all the prop betting, all the extra prop betting, like what color Gatorade, what is the
It's
coin
my
flip,
favorite.
all the thousands. I don't know about thousands, but hundreds of
1,000.
possible bets that can be made, and then of course not including all the live betting that will be allowed. I mean, it's just going to be nonstop. How or what? Because parents are a big part of the problem. Because a lot of people will say, I'd rather have my kid gambling than doing drugs. As long as he's just drinking some beer under my supervision, as long as he's just gambling, and they really don't know the extent. How should parents, or as well as even the sports leagues, approach? Because all the advertising is going to be beer commercials, gambling commercials. It's just going to be indoctrination of how much you can eat, drink, gamble. What kind of
Mhm.
message do you think, instead of just enjoying the day with family, what kind of message do you think could be better put out there in terms of PSAs?
Well, look, all these are self-regulated by all these industries. And addiction, as we know, is $1 trillion establishment. Addiction and its products. So, I mean, PSAs or any of that kind of softball smokescreen stuff that comes from the industry direct. I mean, we find out these things much later on. Drink responsibly. And now we hear if you drink any amount, it's linked to 7 cancers. We spoke about the tobacco playbook and all the millions and millions of people that paid the price for that. We don't know when all the benchmarked evidence for the gambling is going to come out as far as mental, emotional, physiological. We know the financial area, that's the first harm bullet point underneath gambling is you're going to lose all your money and go into debt. And that is accurate. But as we know, there's a much deeply rooted conversation to that. I don't take, first of all, I don't watch this stupidity. I haven't watched a Super Bowl since I was in the industry. The last one I watched was when the Patriots played the Rams. I think it was 19. A terrible game. I think it was a 13-6 or 13-3 final. And again, I was working in the industry during that, so I wasn't where I'm at now
Right.
with my mind rewired into this prevention piece of things. So I mean, look, again, whatever they're going to tell you, it's just smokescreen bullshit to really keep the consumer, they're not going to tell you what me and you are going to tell people. That's not the goal. I mean, you're going to watch every single one of these commercials. It's going to be Frito Lay. It's going to be Pepsi. It's going to be FanDuel. It's going to be DraftKings. It's going to be Taco Bell, Kentucky Fried Chicken, and Wendy's. I mean, we know what it is. The
Don't forget,
evidence,
don't
and
forget Budweiser and
yeah,
Corona.
I mean, the hard seltzers. The Barstool Mutts are probably going to have some, with their hard seltzer stuff or whatever Portnoy has up his sleeve. On and on it goes.
I hear you. It's
So I
just
don't.
one of those.
I mean, what would whatever I would implement wouldn't even make it to the second room in any of these places.
Early on in my recovery, I was with a girlfriend, and she had found out about like the puppy bowl. And I tell people it's much more fun to watch a bunch of puppies trying to pick up a toy and cross the goal line than watching this whatever
Well,
this
it's
free for
interesting.
all.
It's interesting you say that because you remember the Bud Bowl with the bottles of beer playing football, and I mean that translates. And again, like I look, me and you met on LinkedIn, I believe, and I met some of these other guys on LinkedIn before I got off because I had to get off. Because again, these social media platforms they put me too close to some of these people, and I'm just way too aggressive. I just am, and I'm not. Look,
Yeah,
I'm not apologetic either,
I
but
get
it's
it.
just in my DNA. If I see something and it pisses me off or triggers me, or I know that it's wrong, or it's corporately, irresponsibly from a corporate perspective, I'm going to jump on it. And I think FanDuel had put something out with a casino game with Willy Wonka, and
Uh,
you know, what are you doing? Like that is targeting
right, kids.
9 to 12-year-olds. I mean,
Exactly.
we like the movie from 1971 or 72, whatever it is, but Wonka and those little Oompa Loompa guys and the candy and all of that. And that's what these places do. A lot of them,
Right.
Joe Camel, we go back to the tobacco playbook. So
Right.
everything kind of like reinvents itself.
It does. Right. Yeah. And it's all kind of go like Willy Wonka with the golden ticket and Gene Wilder and all the famous
Yeah.
scenes. But yeah, there and now with even like you say, tobacco, got a kind of rejuvenation with all the vaping and all the other stuff that now a lot of the kids, they talk a lot about how alcohol sales are down, but I say, yeah, but vaping is up,
Yeah,
marijuana is up,
sure.
gambling is up.
It's
I
toxic
mean,
positive. I mean, that makes me
right.
feel a little
It's
bit better that kids aren't drinking, but they're redirecting their cheap dopamine
right.
splash.
Exactly. Or just being on social media. But let's jump into question two. The NCAA. I don't know if Charlie Baker and any of those other so-called and all the, especially the university presidents of the major power schools, because all they look at is revenue. And I get it. I mean, every business, we all look at revenue. We all want revenue, but you can't have it both ways. And now, before it was just like the university presidents were just trying to get money for their universities and then what they would pay the head coach. But now with NIL, but now you have all these different partnerships at different levels with the gambling industry, with the prop betting, and then, of course, the health of college athletes with all the prop betting, because we know there's gamblers who are going to whine and then they're going to take it out on athletes' social media pages and all the threats, whether it's physical, whether it's death threats, whether it's some type of harm.
Right.
And then I know you have a history, and then of course now with the NIL paying players, and now universities poaching players, and everyone is. I
Mm.
mean, it's just like this.
Wild, wild
Everybody's just
west, right?
looking. Yeah, it's a Wild Wild West from all different angles, and the NCAA doesn't have any understanding of how to do player protection on
Mm.
where college students are gambling. Tell
Yeah.
us just some of your ideas, just where about the. And I know you've got a history with the NCAA,
They've,
and just kind of just dealing
they've,
with.
yeah. I mean, I've keyed on them with this whole process that I've walked through since day one. Um, Interestingly enough, Fox News had reached out. I did a segment with Dana Perino, and I went hard on the NCAA, and I tend to believe I got blackballed from them, which is, I'm not going to go on and pander to them because of their partners or their cronyism or they like this one or they like that one. I'm going to go in and tell the truth. I was supposed to be on another segment with them. They never called back. It's fine. I've moved on. Problem is, well, not more as it pertains to that conversation and that hypocrisy. You know, Baker had gone on at the time after the Alabama baseball scandals with the integrity issues, and they were on the phones and the dugouts, Cincinnati. I don't remember the logistics exactly, but there were two big
Right.
college baseball scandals, quick, that happened
Right.
years ago. And that happens. And then months later, the NCAA tournament, or maybe it was months prior, I don't know, some play, I don't know, because the baseball season starts early. But two incidents back to back. There was that. There was a player protection issue in one of the March Madness games where a kid hit a 3-pointer at the buzzer, and it cost one side a lot of money, and that kid was getting a lot of threats at the time. Big player protection dependency, and that was one of the big first under the microscope player protection issues that there were. So what does President Baker do? Shortly after that, he goes on, he does an interview with Forbes magazine talking about how he wants to expand more partnerships with the gambling industry. Like
Right.
those two events didn't even exist. And I brought that up on Fox News, and they obviously didn't like that because, again, the truth is too unpleasant, too restrictive. They don't want to hear those kind of things on huge network news with some of their partners. It's terrible for business for them.
Well, they don't even realize that all of this increased gambling with the prop betting is going to increase more scandals. Because you were also talking about that Iowa State baseball
There,
behind the gambling, and then all the different now even going into not only the top athletes, just the medium athletes. So
there
you
was
have
one.
you
There
have a
was
lot
one
more scandals.
There's one recently now. It's up to like 37 kids over 19 schools. It was 20, then 26. 37, there's a huge gambling ring. And again, like I don't like to dip into game integrity because I believe that's a lot of two-sided softball bullshit. I don't think the impacts of game integrity or any of that hurts the bottom line.
Correct.
But where I do have a big thing with the game integrity is where it pertains with the player protection. Because these NCAA kids, and I use kids with double sided quotes, because now you got 25 to 27-year-olds playing college football. It's the most absurd what's going on in that's a whole nother different, it's another creature. But again, you still have your 20, 21, 22-year-old, and these kids walk amongst us in the public. I mean, they go to the barbershop, they go to the mall, they go to the restaurants, they're walking the class, and they're costing people money and they're open game. And that's where my concern lies with the game integrity conversation. And it all coexists with this NIL stuff too, like you were talking about before,
Right.
because a lot of kids aren't going to get NIL deals. But the gambling, compromising a game is lucrative if you can get away with it until you can't get away with it.
Well, the thing
So
is right. They all think that they can make a quick buck, and I said, don't underestimate the gambling industry. They will sue you on a marker. They will come after you
yeah,
on any type of debt that you have. They are worse than the mafia.
but they'll promote it every place near these campuses and on campuses and billboards and algorithms and the whole thing, and then again, I don't want to I don't want to start going off on some of these, but you got a place, an advocacy, quote unquote, advocacy group who's partnered with the NCAA, and they only like to talk about and compartmentalize on some of the parts of this conversation. You know what I mean? So again, you're going to go and talk about your lived experience from 10, 12, 15, 18 years ago that means absolutely nothing to these kids. It's not apples to oranges with what they're dealing with today, with
Right.
social media, with this pervasive industry, with the phone, with everything. It's apples to oranges. And we can't seem to kind of connect those dots.
Right. And I also say, like I was kind of alluding to, The gambling industry is more ruthless than the mafia. The way they just will go after you and destroy you. And people don't realize, and there's no stopping. I mean, the big story last year was the famous guy who lost $300 million. Where
Yeah.
was the player protection when he had this fortune from his party supply parents that, he had all this, he had about $300 million. You don't think after 100 million that someone they would have, they knew exactly how much money he had. I
No.
say they know more. This will lead into question three. They
Yeah.
know more about your personal finances than the IRS, than probably even your own bank. They know how much, and that's how when they try to elevate you to VIP status,
Mm.
or they try to know how much to try to coerce you into gambling more. But then let me just go into question three. Question three is I don't think people truly understand how every major sport league, as well as the NCAA, owns all the data from all the different games, and how they are selling their data to now the gambling industry, so then they can then either be much more on point with all the lines, with all the prop betting. Because if people really truly understood, the industry knows where to place those lines. You'd be amazed as how much of those lines just pretty much land right, and someone is just going to go over or under, whether it's a player or a team, because they have all this information.
Yeah, that's
What
not
is
a
you?
con.
What do you kind of understand about how data is really driving the gambling industry?
I mean, between that and the prediction markets, I mean,
That's another
well,
conversation.
and again, it's I just I sit here in my own mind, and there's people, the masses, the collective, that'll still convince themselves that there's no conflict of interest, and this stuff is all on the up and up, and they behave in a certain manner that it's just mind blowing to them. Oh, you couldn't possibly. They want to win. They want to win. They want to win. They want your money. That's all they
Right.
want. They care about winning. This isn't 1991 anymore. Problem is most people's brains don't mature past 1991. And they don't grow from 1991. They're just so sucked into a life that brings them back to a time in their life that they wish that they could go back to when things were a certain way. So I get it, you know what I mean? But it just doesn't work that way. Reality doesn't work that way. So, I mean, look, these leagues have made it clear they're overt, whether you want to believe it or not, and most don't. That's what this has all turned into, a gateway for them, another um, revenue stream.
Right.
It's as dangerous as it could get, but that's what it is. And if you want to get in bed with it and you want to, and again, like there's really these 21 and 23-year-olds that really think that they're one win away or one bet away or one good day away from taking this over. I mean, it's harder than ever to win. And if you win, they're going to kick you the hell out anyway.
Yeah, like
They're
they
not gonna,
somehow magic are going to win some 10 team parlay,
well, I mean,
or
look,
10 bet parlay, because they do individual with teams and all
you got a
this.
better chance of getting struck by lightning 3 times.
Exactly. I did
But
that on my
again,
last episode. I talked about the odds. So, a woman won $1.8 billion on Christmas Eve. The
yeah,
odds of someone winning the Powerball are 1 in 292 million. Do you know what the odds are to be hit by lightning in an 80-year lifespan is 1.2 million?
yeah.
No, between 1 and 292, and 1 in
But
1.2.
you can't convince an addict,
Oh, you
and they don't,
can.
and not only that, they don't want to be convinced. I
Exactly.
deal with this stuff all the time. Like I
They
talk about
always believe that they're going to be the next winner. And
and
that to
people.
me is the big
Well, that's
lie of gambling is the
yeah,
ability to make a gambler feel good about the next day that they could possibly win. They could talk about their near win, how they got 3 out of 4 on a parlay, or they hit 3 out of 5 on the Powerball, or
yeah.
whatever, or the almost slot machine
But
where,
the dopamine from the near misses and the
right.
losses keeps them
That's
there.
what people don't realize is that
Right.
that allow. And the one thing I always tell people, the difference between gambling and alcohol and drugs is when you're drinking or you're getting high, you're getting drunk, you're getting high, you don't automatically assume that the next hit, the next beer, you're going to get sober. But the gambler, even if they're down X amount of dollars, they still think that they could possibly go on a run and turn their negative night into a positive night.
Yeah.
And
Their
that
minds are
is
warped.
not that there is no comparison to any other addiction where even if you are losing, you still believe that you have a chance.
I mean, their minds are so warped. I mean, I get
Well,
it.
I think it's also the addiction. People don't realize is
Wow. But
that's how
their brain
dangerous
chemistry,
gambling is.
but the chemistry of their brain has been changed by the
Correct.
habit and the activity. They're not
Exactly.
thinking rationally at all. They're so, I mean, and I've been around these people my whole life, sadly, and there's all sorts of phasing and extreme between, I've been around people that are just full blown disordered out of their minds. And then there's just other ones that think they're moderate because, I'm only betting 50, 60, $100 a game, whatever the number is. But again, it's just, the finances, I just think
Well,
that's it's such a loaded conversation outside
well,
of
the
finance.
finances is one thing. I think deep down is the productivity, is time management. How
Mm.
much time is just wasted
Oh,
either
without question. That's a great point.
statistics or watching, I just say. But look, it's another week. It's another year here in 2026, here as we're going to finish this Super Bowl out. I appreciate your time, your thoughts, your experience. And until the next time we have you back on, we're going to end this episode of the 1% in Recovery podcast.
Thank you.